it this private so everybody can see. You're gonna get a recording soon. So, okay, we'll have a couple more people.
Just a clarification, it says being live streamed on YouTube.
Yeah, but I put it on private, so it's not it's private. So yeah, I just did that so that once it's approved, all I have to do is make it public, and it makes it easy and simple for me. So right now it's private. So I'll make sure I forward the recording to you guys. It's easier for me so I don't have to do double work. It's all I have to do is just make it public, and I'm done. Try to simplify things here, try to automate it a little bit more easier, but hopefully we'll get there soon. Okay. Well, hey, Carrie, welcome. And Ava Walker. So great show. All right. I guess we'll get started in about a couple more minutes. We'll wait to 7:05. Just want to give people 5 minutes to get in. So how's the weather over there by you guys? Everybody good?
Feels like the fall.
The fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice coolness to the air.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fall and spring are my favorite. It's not too hot, not too cold, especially now it's the hotter humidity. So absolutely.
What is Sharon's autopilot?
Oh, that's so Sharon, who I invited, wherever she goes, the otter goes. So that it usually enters the room before she does physically.
Oh, okay. I'm just checking in because I see Jamie. I don't see Sharon. So that's
She'll pop in.
And I also have a Phantom note taker, so it does transcribe everything. So it's a pretty cool app that Robin turned me on to it. So I kind of use it. So it's kind of cool. And I'll forward that to everybody after the meeting. So make sure everybody put their contact information in the chat, because we will go ahead and email that to everybody and just make sure everybody has everybody's contacts and connections. So this way we'll get started soon. Okay. And Robin, I have to leave because I have to work on the newsletter for tonight. I'll be working on the newsletter. I know. It's like everything else. I know. It's,
Okay, so give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'm going to go put a little lipstick on.
Oh my goodness. No, it's all good. It's all good. I'll be here though. I'll be on call, but I'll be working. I don't stop, folks. I keep on going.
Energizer bunny.
I know. I know. And it's just nonstop. It's never only the weekends, actually. I make it a point in the weekends to relax a little bit, because we need that break in the weekends, So you need that downtime, especially with the family. I get to see my family on the weekends. I feel like,
Who are you?
Yeah, who are you? Exactly. And my kids grow. All of a sudden, they're big. They're not kids anymore. They're not babies. They're just huge. Janine can, that. They're no more babies. And I find myself doing baby things too. But they're not babies anymore. I keep saying to myself, they're not babies. All right, we'll get started about 1 more minute, and we'll get started. Robin, anything else? Did I miss out anything? Anything that I know this is a wow special presentation?
Absolutely not. I'm just
okay.
Ready to hear what everybody has to say.
Okay, so I just want to make sure who's going to lead off. Is going to be Janine. I'm going to pass it out to you, Janine, and then Amy, or does it matter, or does it in any order?
Janine is the facilitator.
Janine. Okay, so I'll go with Janine. Okay, I'll start it off. I'll make it. Okay. All right, folks, we're going to get started here. So let's mute everybody. I'm going to mute everybody's mic. Here we go. Hold on a second. I'm muting everybody, and we're going to get started here. Give me 1 second. Welcome, folks. Welcome to a special Winning on Wednesday evening event. And today we have a special event, which we're going to talk about cash flows. We have 3 great panelists today, and I can't wait to hear them. And I would like to introduce them. I'm going to pass the baton to Janine. So Janine, go ahead. Janine Bolon. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Juan. It's a pleasure to be here, a part of WOW. And I am joined by Amy Geffen and Nikki Gangemi, and I'm going to let them pronounce their names again because I probably butchered them terribly. But the thing is we got together, and one of the things that we decided upon was entrepreneurs are struggling, as they always do when it comes to cash flow, and we decided to address this head on. So I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10 years old. I've always had a side business. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my two panelists talks first, and then I'll bring in what I can offer at the end. But we're going to have Amy introduce herself and mention a little bit about what she wants to discuss. Then we're going to have Nikki come on board because she brings with us the KISS system. And if everybody understands that, then we will move on with what I have to share with you. But first, we're going to go with Amy. So introduce yourself, dear, and talk to us a little bit about what you want to bring to the table tonight.
Great. Thank you for that kind introduction, Janine, and thank you, Juan, for enabling us to provide this panel to our members. Amy Geffen, career coach. This is my fourth career. I started out as a teacher of English as a second language. Then I became a college administrator, worked at several colleges, worked for the city of New York, and then I moved into association management. And about 9 years ago, when I lost the job, the only job I ever lost, I got career coaching from a company, and I took their training and I became a career coach. And it's been for me a passion to help people find their next opportunity, whatever that may be. So what I'm going to talk about tonight is not how to find your next job. What I'm going to be talking about is, as entrepreneurs, as solopreneurs, what are some of the products that you can create to bring cash flow to your business?
Thank you very much. And so that is one of the things we discussed when we had our pre-meeting. We were like, okay, we all have ideas and suggestions. There are some people who are operating in WOW that have products, some have services, some have programs, and we're wanting to discuss where we find that it's best working in this day and age in this kind of environment. So Nikki is going to bring with us the KISS system. And the reason we like to give that one to her, because she was the one that kind of said, yeah, this is all great and fantastic and everything, but go ahead, Nikki, if you'll introduce yourself a little bit and talk to us about what you were describing in that pre-meeting.
Yes, well, thank you. I'm excited to be here and share money mindset. And yeah, we can keep that simple, right? So I am a former elementary school teacher. I spent 15 years in a career that was chosen for me after giving up on my dream of being an actress, which I gave myself all of 1 year to pursue before giving up and deciding I didn't have what it took to be famous. So I settled into teaching, and then I stayed for 15 years. And it really took a mindset shift to be able to walk away from a steady paycheck, benefits, a pension. And I had all the voices in my head saying, you've got to be responsible. You know, you've got bills to pay. Wait till you get married, so there's another income coming in. And finally, when 40 years old came, I decided it was time to take my life back. And what if I were going to wait till I was 50 for the man to come? You know, what if I didn't? So that's when I decided to resign from my job. I already had started a life coaching business, and then I got into hypnotherapy, all things with the subconscious mind. How do you get out of your own way? How do you start changing those beliefs? So what I'm going to be talking about a little bit later is how important our words are. And when we change our words, we change our life. So I'm going to give 3 common phrases that we tend to say to ourselves, especially when we get into a pickle with money, and what to say instead so that you can start getting those ideas and attracting the opportunities to keep you profiting in your business.
Thank you very much, Nikki. I appreciate that. And I'm Janine Bolon. I have run, I think I'm up to 17 or 18 businesses now. I sell them because I get bored, and then I start a new one, a new enterprise, and I'm all about the money. That's one of the things is I get into business to make money so I can live the lifestyle I want. So I have sacrificed, as some people would say, I don't feel it's a sacrifice, but I've sacrificed security for freedom. And so one of the things I honor every entrepreneur about, whether you have a full-time job and you're just running a side hack, is that realize what you are doing. You are taking security and you are leaving that behind, and you are embracing freedom. And that is always a scary road. I don't care how strong you are. There is always moments where you'll wake up at 2 a.m. wondering, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And I had those experiences as I would hear the breathing of my 4 children as a single mom. Did I make the right choice? There were times where I really could have used Nikki to help me get through that 2 a.m., but she wasn't in my world at that time. I will be discussing with you the brass tacks. brass tacks are, I talk very directly about money. I'm one of those speakers that's considered gauche by a lot of folks because I talk about money. And to me, it's important that we bring that out of the gauche and taboo section because it's important that we understand what we're doing and where we're going. So I will be describing the 60-40 principle. I will be describing MVPs and IPAs, and we'll talk about those in a bit. But to me, it's much more important that you hear from Amy and then Nikki before you hear about me, because Amy and Nikki have things that have to do with products and services that can be built out. And then Nikki has the mindset that will help shift you. And then I'll come in with the practical tips. Now, both of them have practical tips too. But like I said, I'll be talking about the money specifically. So Amy, I would love it if you would talk to us about the areas that you can make money. And then Nikki, if you'll come up then with your 3 steps on helping with the mindset, when things don't quite work out the way Amy talks about, you have Nikki there, and then I'll bring up the rear with the details regarding money. So Amy, if you would go, please.
Sure, certainly. So there are a bunch of things that we all do in our jobs, in our businesses, and some make money for us and some don't. And until you start making them, doing them, whether it's a product or it's a service or it's a program, you won't know whether there's really enough money to be made and worth your time. So one of the things that I did a few years back, I wrote a book for Book Boon, which is a publisher in Europe. And they put it online and they sell the book and I get a royalty. Now, it didn't take long to write the book. It's not a long book. It's all of 35 pages. So let's get real. It's not a novel, you know, it's not a magnum opus. But every quarter or every half a year, they send me a check for a couple $100. So once it's done, it's done. I'm not doing any more work on it, but it's not bringing in a hell of a lot of money. All right, that's one thing. I'm a career coach. What does that mean? I meet with individuals who need a resume or who need to find a job or need help with interviewing. And so I created some packages of hourly coaching so that people can, if they want, they can pay me by the hour, which is one amount, or they can buy a package of 5 hours, which saves them money, and I still make my money, and I get paid in advance. So the $500 package is 5 hours of coaching, which is a great deal, and we can discuss whatever the person wants to discuss. They can do it an hour at a time or a half hour at a time, but I get paid in advance, and they use it as they see fit. Now, just the other day, I got an email from 2 women I had been working with over a year ago who didn't complete their package. And they wrote to me and said, oh, we'd like to meet up with you again because we haven't used up all our hours. Fine, you know, whatever. But I got paid in advance for that. Another thing I do that does bring in income are webinars online for organizations that are looking for someone to talk about topics related to careers and looking for jobs. And so I create webinars, which are PowerPoint presentations, which I talk to the PowerPoint to a group of people, just like you are here. And I do them for libraries, colleges, universities, adult education centers, workforce development agencies in government, such as Middlesex County government and Monmouth County government and Scarsdale adult education. And I get paid to do those webinars. So once I've created a webinar, again, it takes some time. I've got it. I've got it in my computer. I can do it anytime, every few months. I can do it for different folks, different organizations, and it doesn't take me any more time because it's already developed. So that's a source of income. I mean, I'm not doing them every day or every week, but I do a couple of them a month, 2, 3 a month. Okay, the other thing is repurposing material. It's one thing I learned during my stint in education and in college administration, association management. Once you create material, you can do a lot of different things with that material. So if I've created a webinar, which has a PowerPoint presentation, and I talk to it live, I can record myself over that PowerPoint and create an online course. Boom. Again, here's something that can go up online. I can sell that something. I can sell it to many people. It can be used over and over and over again. And I've only done it once. It's done once and done. There's another thing you can do with repurposing materials. You can, if you've got a course or you've got a PowerPoint presentation on a topic, You can break it down into smaller pieces and use those pieces to write an article for LinkedIn, do a podcast, do a 3-minute video, write a blog. So I really believe in this whole idea of you're bringing content, you're bringing information. How do you want to use the information? It can be used in different ways, and you can reuse it by repackaging the information. So that's what I've got to say for now. Janine, thank you.
No worries. Thank you, Amy. One of the things I'm just going to interject here is, as somebody who is the CEO of a production company, I wanted to let you know about repurposing content and how important that is for you. And that is, I've written 14 books. I have 91 online courses. Most of those online courses are highly specific. Most people don't know about them because until you approach me with a very specific problem, you will not be referred to that course. And sometimes my courses are as little as $37. It's one video with a worksheet and a checklist. And then some of my courses are $5,000, depending upon what problem it is I am solving. So that's how you take your intellectual property and you monetize it. All right. So think about what it is you know. All right. The biggest thing I'm going to say is don't you dare build anything until somebody has paid for it first. Don't build anything until somebody has paid for it first. And Carol Vinci, who happens to be a lovely lady and friend of mine who is here on this call, knows very well I do that. She said, Janine, I'd like a course on blah, blah, blah. And I said, are you willing to pay $397 for it? She goes, no, but I'll pay $197 for it. And I went, done. Built the course after I had her verbal commitment that she would buy from me. Okay. Nikki, we would love to hear your 3 tips on how you go about changing that mindset when it's 2 a.m. in the morning. You got sweat breaking out all over your face. You're dripping because, you got bills and you don't know where the revenue is coming. Save us, my dear one. How do you do that?
Yes, and I have had firsthand experience having that problem. I think the one thing I left out when I introduced myself is that I resigned from my job in 2019. So this June has been 4 years that I have been solo in my business. And it has come up a lot with, oh no, the bills are ready to just auto come out of my bank account. Where's the money coming from? So I'm going to share some phrases that I've used and a lot of people use, and how you can change that language to change your focus, which changes your actions and changes your results. It was so interesting, Amy, we must be aligned, how you ended with repackage the information. And I'm going to talk about repackaging the thoughts in your mind and being willing to look at it in a different way. So all of the products and packages that Amy talked about, I've done them all: the book, the ebook, the webinar, the master classes, the coaching packages, all the things. And one thing I know I've came up against is looking at the results and looking at the lack. Only 20 people showing up for this masterclass, or only 6 sales. And it was looking at the lack instead of feeling appreciation for what was and excited and eager for more. So the first phrase, and let me know if you've said this or heard people say it, is, well, the problem is, blah, 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 right? The problem is this. And we kind of like argue and give reasons and excuses for why something is. And that is unresourceful language, which doesn't help us, right? So this happened recently where I caught myself. I was saying the problem is, and instead I noticed it, I switched tracks, and I thought to myself, what's one creative way I can attract an additional $1,000 this month? And then I let it go. I just planted the seed. And then the idea came to me to offer a mental fitness boot camp to a gym where I knew the owner. She said, yes, sounds like a great idea. I did that. That translated into almost $2,000 extra that month. So this is how this opens you up to ideas and then opportunities just by changing your language, which changes your focus. And please, I put anything in the chat, any questions or comments, or if this resonates with you, I want to know. It's very simple. Also, the problem is you can recognize if you say it or think it, and you can switch to what might one solution be. Again, you're just putting your focus on what you want instead of what you don't want. The other phrase, and I've used this a lot, especially when someone asks me to buy, oh, I can't afford that. I can't afford, or I don't have the money. Who has used those phrases? And again, I mean, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't help. Sometimes we even say it just to say it. It's not true. I mean, the truth is, it's what you choose. We pay for things we choose, right? Priority. So a reframe for that could just be, I have other financial priorities right now. And just notice how that even feels different when you think it, right? And then you could also say, well, that's not a financial priority for me right now. That has nothing to do with affording or not. It's people have different priorities. So I actually shared, my parents are going to Hawaii and they got a great discount on the room, a savings of $4,000 for agreeing to go to one of those lunches where they hear about those travel. Oh, you would know this. She's shaking her head, Robin. And so she's like, oh, I hope they don't talk me into it. I said, Mom, just say, this is not a financial priority for us right now. They can't argue with that. You're not saying I don't have the money for it. So this is just a way to go from unresourceful language to more empowering language. And the final one I'm going to share with you that's commonly said and thought is, it's not enough. I've had people say to me, well, be happy you had a sale this month. Well, yeah, I am, but it's not enough. I need more. And again, does that feel good? Is it helpful? No, not at all. Great advice. Yes, thank you, Jamie. So a reframe could be, I appreciate what I have, and I'm looking forward to the extra $1,000 that's on its way. It's using that and I appreciate, instead of but, because we tend to use but, which negates everything you just said before. I appreciate what I have, and I prefer to have X number of dollars flowing into my bank account every month. And again, do you feel the difference just thinking about it? So changing those three phrases alone, you'll see a huge difference in how you feel. You'll see a difference in what you see. You're going to start noticing opportunities that perhaps you didn't notice before because you were closed and shut down. So yeah, those are my three that I wanted to share. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them while we're here on this panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nikki. We're going to have some Q&A at the end after all the three of us have had a chance to speak. And so definitely put it in the chat and we'll go back and look at that. The biggest thing that I would love to piggyback on with Nikki and mindset is this is the world's best SEO. I don't care what anybody else says. Google has nothing on this machine right here. And when you work with somebody like a Nikki who can help you reframe, it is amazing how incredible. And now we're all sitting here and nodding our heads. Yes, we're all nodding our heads. But when it's 3:30 in the a.m. in the morning and you're spinning into a dark place, spiraling down, I just want to remind you, take a breath to breathe. I know we're told that a lot, especially as heart-based entrepreneurs, but literally it is the best way to reframe your thinking because the mind doesn't control the breath, the subconscious does. And you want to move into your subconscious because sometimes your subconscious has answers that your analytical brain can't even begin to perceive because the subconscious has a lot more data it can handle and work through. And you need to bypass that analytical brain by moving into what we call the limbic brain. And the limbic brain doesn't have language. It doesn't use English. It uses pictures. And that's why a lot of you will get an image in your head and you'll go, oh, I got it. And that's where that's coming from, is that limbic brain. And so I just wanted to piggyback on what Nikki was saying. I'm Janine Bolon. I'm an analytical biochemist by training, worked in big pharma for 15 years, then dropped out of the workforce. I was a traitor to my sex because I wanted to go home and raise my 4 children and homeschool them. That was not looked on kindly in 1996. I was considered a dropout and was a pariah for that. So nowadays we have a very different understanding of what was happening during that time. And I want to say thank you to all of you who support me now as I move out as an author and an online broadcast media person. So one of the things that I feel is very important is that you understand where I come from. Number one, I am a financially solvent businesswoman. I do not go into debt for my business. I make sure that I own everything I use. There are two things that I have an exception to that. That's your home or your car. Why? Because those are loans that are leveraged against some sort of property or what have you. So we're not talking about that kind of debt. That's secured debt. We're talking about unsecured debt, which is credit cards and business loans. And just the other day, I received an item in the mail where I too could have received $72,000 worth of free money that was at my disposal. And then when I looked at the loans, the percentage points, it was almost card, like loan shark kind of rates. I'm like, holy crow, does anybody read the fine print? I don't think so. So I am allergic to debt. I'm going to let you know that. Ever since I was 10 years old, my very first business, I went into debt for $35 so I could afford t-shirts and baseball caps so that I would have a uniform of such. And I realized the pain and suffering I went through as I made enough money at $4 an hour to pay for that $35 loan from my mother so that I could do a t-shirt and a baseball cap. I was like, I will never do this again. And that's what got me allergic to debt in that way. Now, not all of us are in debt of our own accord. We have things like divorces. We have partners that are not as much of a tightwad as us, or maybe we're the spendthrift. I don't care. Whatever your story is, just realize, let's just start where you are. And I want you to make a commitment now that you're going to start paying down that debt in any way feasible. And you're going to use this SEO to start talking the way Nikki recommends. That's the first thing, is that you are going to become debt-free. How? You don't answer that question. That's where the analytical brain is trying to get in your way and slow your momentum. How is not a question you ask. The question you ask is, what? What do I want? And your very first priority as an entrepreneur is you want to become debt-free and figure out how much debt you have and then start working on that. I have a book called How to Ditch Your Debt While Banking Bucks. You're welcome to get it online. I think it's on Kindle for free. You can just go to Janine Bolon on Amazon and they'll have it available. There's another one that's also on free, and it's called The Thriving Solopreneur also. It's basically how to nurture your business in 4 hours a week. It's how to answer that question of, when do I work on my business? When do I work in my business? And it kind of defines that for you. Also gives you that 4 hours a week that you're getting prospects and leads and how to go about doing that. Some systems there for you. But the biggest thing that I want to talk about is the debt load. One of the things that I find fascinating is that entrepreneurs that have less than 10 employees now have 46% of the workforce. It's not the Fortune 500 companies. Okay, the statistics that are coming out is the whole workforce has shifted to entrepreneurialism. People are leaving security for freedom. They want a lifestyle that is specific. And what's fascinating to me is those same people are also saying the lifestyle that has been made out, where I have 2-car garage and a so many square foot home, McMansion and blah, blah, blah. They're giving that up. And they're like, I'm living in my minivan and I'm a global nomad and I'm having the time of my life as I run up and down South America to North America, back and forth, NAFTA be damned kind of thing. All right. So I just wanted to let you know that there is that huge shift, and they're calling themselves minimalists and that sort of thing. Back in the 90s, when we were doing our thing, we called ourselves downshifters, right? Yeah. So thank you for being a part of that group. So how can we help you? First of all, is a minimum viable product. What is your minimum viable product? A lot of authors will say, my book. And I go, as an author, your book is your business card on steroids. All right. As Amy said, she makes about $300 a year. It's pretty awesome. I wish I made that much. You know how much my royalty checks are? I might get $192 a year if I'm lucky and I've really promoted the book. But the thing is it's the online product. So I encourage you. I know there is a problem that you solve for somebody. And I would recommend that you go ahead and do that webinar on solving that problem. Maybe your webinar is only 20 minutes. Maybe your webinar is only 18 minutes. It doesn't matter. create that Zoom link, do that webinar, and then have notes, have a checklist, whatever resource list, whatever you want to build, pop that sucker up on your website and sell it for 25 bucks. There you go. Minimum viable product. I solved this problem, right? Nikki and Amy and I were talking about how we got started with minimum viable products. It's a way for somebody to commit to you very inexpensively. All right. And once they buy it from you, you have their email address and you got a phone number, you have their address sometimes, and then you can start mailing them thank you notes. That's one of the things I started when I was a very small, young business owner of the age of 16, is I would handwrite business cards. I would handwrite thank you notes. These activities are worth their weight in gold. A thank you note nowadays, direct mail, is one of the most powerful ways you as an entrepreneur can spend your time. I know you may feel you don't have time for that, but if you have the difference between a newsletter versus a thank you card, I will do a newsletter. I will do a thank you card over the newsletter. And I only tease Juan about that because I know he likes to do newsletters, so I'm just teasing him. But a card is something that people kind of hang on to. It's a three-dimensional object. Okay, it's seen very well. So that's the minimum. Oh, thank you, everyone. For the you're on mute cards, that a three-dimensional object always wins over a digital object. Okay. And a lot of people say, no, it doesn't, because so many people don't like to receive mail and blah, blah, blah. And I disagree. There's very few people out of the 15,000 cards, because I count them, it's over 15,000 now, cards that I have sent. I've only had 2 people request that I stop. And that's because of their lifestyle choices. They were conservers. They didn't want the carbon footprint, blah, blah, blah. And I understand that. Okay. So let's talk about IPAs, income producing activities. How much of your day, or how much of your week, if you prefer, and I want you to be honest with yourself as an entrepreneur, how much of your week are you involved in an income producing activity? An income producing activity is like what I, Amy, and Nikki are doing now. We are presenting to a group of people that could potentially be clients. Maybe not. That's not the focus of this. It's not to bring you in as clients, actually to answer some of your questions, but it is a public forum. So if I'm speaking in front of a new group of people, that's an income producing activity. If I am on a Zoom call with somebody who doesn't know me and we're getting to know each other, that is a networking call. That is not an income producing activity unless they say, yes, I'd love to have your book. Ah, there we go. Income producing activity. Okay. How many hours a week are you spending on that income producing activity? The reason I want to focus in on that is that helps your SEO. In your brain, if you start looking at what is my income producing activities, then it moves you out of promotion and marketing, which is much safer. You can do that in the privacy of your home. It's not as scary as what Nikki's talking about when you have to actually figure out how are you going to come up with that $2,000 you need by the end of the month. And remember, I said it correctly. How am I going to do this? It's the wrong question. Nikki will tell you. I am going to create $2,000 by the end of this month. So I'm going to go rest on that, and I'm going to go do an income producing activity. I am going to make phone calls. You should see the look of terror on people's faces when I ask them to start getting on the phone and making phone calls. Call, not your friends, not your family. Call past clients, call people. You will have, and as entrepreneurs, you guys have this instinctively. If I were to say, okay, I need $2,000 at the end of this month that I currently don't have. That's okay. It's coming to me. I don't know how, but it's coming to me. Who should I call that's going to help me on that path? Wait for it. Joe somebody pops in your head. Joe Smith. Holy crow. I haven't talked to Joe Smith in probably 8 months. And you will sit there and your analytical mind will talk you right out of that phone call. When your limbic brain had told you, you know what, you need to contact Joe. Because when you call Joe, you find out, oh, Janine, so glad you called. I was just thinking about you the other day. Hey, are you available to speak on, pick a topic, right? So that's income producing activities. That's how you use the information that Nikki is talking about, how you use your minimum viable product that Amy talked about, and how you use your intuition to get you that income. Whenever you say, how am I going to do something? You're in the analytical brain. It does not have your answers. please realize the answers come from your subconscious brain, and talk to Amy and Nikki about how we're going to have them open up a little bit on that in just a moment. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about is if you find yourself in debt, make that your number one priority, is you're going to get out of debt in the next 18 months. Figure out a timeline, give yourself a timeline, share it with a friend. Say, I'm going to be actively working on getting out of debt in the next 18 months. And I'm going to need support from you, and let them know. Okay. Because if you have somebody that you're holding yourself accountable to, and give them permission to ask you once a week, how's that going out of debt thing going for you? Would you like to know the most effective way to get out of debt? The answer to that is start tracking your expenses. And you do that for 3 months, and I guarantee you the mind shift will be something that is phenomenal. When you start tracking where your money is actually going, it is amazing what you find that you're spending money on that you had no idea that money was leaving your sphere of influence. So those are the habits of multimillionaires. Sure, they hire people to track their expenses, but I also know that they sit down once a week and they look over their expenses and make sure that it's in alignment with the type of people they are. And are you making financial decisions that are in alignment with your own moral compass and the purpose that you have set for yourself on this planet? So those are some suggestions and some tips. Change the focus, change your life is kind of what Nikki shares with us. Amy's like, when you decide to change your focus and change your life, look me up, because I have a compass I can guide you on that with. And as far as me, let me know when you've decided to make that change, and we'll be glad to put you in touch with a community that can serve you and serve your accountability needs. So let's have Amy and Nikki. Amy, we're going to go with you first. Talk to us about that limbic brain and how you use the subconscious mind to put you in places that you prefer to be, not where you are.
So that's a good question. And I don't know that I'm not using my analytical brain to say what I'm doing, but I wind up doing things, when it's coming from someplace. So here's an example. I got involved as an alum of Brooklyn College, providing webinars, programs for Brooklyn College for their career development department. Well, that made sense. Okay, I contacted them. They wanted me. I'm an alum. That's great. Yada, yada. And then I said, well, wait a minute. I know people at other colleges too. Maybe I should talk to them. Well, guess what? I talked to someone I knew who I had worked with as a colleague at the American Society for Mechanical Engineers, who went to work at another college. And then he went to work for BMCC, which is Borough Manhattan Community College. And I called him up and I said, could you put me in touch with the person in charge of the career development at BMCC? And he did. And I do webinars for BMCC. And then recently, I work with a financial advisor. That's our advisor. And he helps us out. And he said, oh, and I teach classes here and there on finance at the Scarsdale Adult Center. I said, oh, Paul, could you introduce me to the director of the Scarsdale Adult Center? He said, of course. Well, guess what? I did 4 webinars for the Scarsdale Adult Center. I got paid, and I'm going to do another 4 for them. So it's the whole thing of it's networking, but it's understanding that, oh, I do have connections. I should connect to people and let people know what I'm doing and what I'm looking for. And that helps you get to where you want to go. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's how my mind works.
And that's exactly why I asked the question the way I did, which is you had the gumption to ask. We forget to ask. Okay. There isn't a person in this room that I couldn't go to and say, hey, do you know of somebody who can help me with XYZ? You would either give me yes or no. You would have no problem at all giving me an introduction, because you know me, you know that I would give good service to that individual as well as to yourself. So we're also, entrepreneurs are very giving people. Almost everybody I've met, 98% of them, okay? Don't worry about the other 2%. Focus on the 98% that would drop everything to help you. Just talk to Juan. Juan does it. Robin does it. Our people at WOW, they do it. They're wonderful, wonderful folks, and they'll be glad to help you out. And so, Amy, it was a very good example. Thank you so much. And then, Nikki, I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you get the SEO working. And thank you for what's the one way I can attract an additional $1,000. That's how Nikki phrases that. That's something you may want to write down, because it will work for more than just money in your life. And then after you finish up, Nikki, we're going to open the room up for questions because then we'll have about 15 minutes left. Go ahead, Nikki.
Okay, thank you, Janine. So, okay, a couple of things I wanted to say is to get into the habit of turning statements into questions. And that's something I've had to learn the hard way. I was a true statement maker. For example, I would take something like a low cost product, like a freebie or a lead magnet, and then, a $37 upsell. And when I saw a lack of sales, I would say, people must not want this statement. This product must not be worth the $37 statement. And I would let that go on. And I started asking questions, what's one tweak I could make to this product that would make it more appealing, more attractive? I go into the back end of my system just to check on things. And I find out that the button to buy has a broken link. And it wasn't taking people to the page to buy. So it had nothing to do with the product not being good enough or people don't want it. They couldn't buy it. So I wanted to share that with you because it was something that I wish I would have discovered sooner than a year's time gone by. So ask questions, right? One of my earlier mentors taught me the butterfly hands. And we tend to say, well, this is the only option. And there's at least 9 other options. So when you find yourself getting stuck in, well, it can only be this, great. And what's another option? What might another option be? And give yourself at least 9 other options. And I think there was one more thing that I wanted to share. However, it is not coming to me, so I'll save it for the questions. Oh, the subconscious mind. I will listen. I will ask a question and then I'll go off and I'll exercise or wash dishes or fold laundry or just do something, without thinking. And I'll listen to what comes up. Recently, my mind said, text Josephine. She was like a past client that has worked with me on and off for a long time. And I said, you know what? It's been about a year. Let me text her. She got right back to me saying, hi, Nikki, I'm out of the country, but we need to talk. Let's talk at the end of the month. I'm so glad I listened to that little voice that just came up. So follow what comes up for you. And if it feels good, take action on that inspiration.
So take action on what feels good. Okay, we're going to open it up for people to ask their own questions. And so if you go down to the reactions button, you can find a raise hand and we'll call on whoever has a question first for the panel. Go ahead, Jamie, if you would unmute and then let us know who you want to talk to and who is the question directed to. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Jamie Carlaccio, and this is for Nikki. When you say, and also for you with don't use the how, that's your analytical brain thinking. I've been taught that emotions are attractive. And so if we're thinking positively and feeling positive, like money is coming to me, or the man of my dreams is coming to me, or, I call him Mr. Right around the corner. And, so thinking in positive terms, and how does it feel to feel freedom? So, but when you were talking about, I need an extra $1,000, it's very hard for me to not hear, how can I get an extra $1,000 a month? And you said, what is the one thing I need to do? And that sort of means how. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about how that language works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. And thank you for asking it. So the one thing, I know there's a book called The One Thing. And I always go with how I feel. Mm-hmm. For me personally, the one thing doesn't feel good because my mind goes to what's the right thing. And there can be some anxious feelings over, am I choosing the right thing? Not that everybody would feel that way. And that's why I reframed it to what's one creative way I can attract an additional.
That's great.
What's another creative
Then we
way?
Go and ask for referrals. Introductions. Okay.
And using words like, I'm curious.
Yeah.
And I wonder.
Curious language.
And then let it sit in the pot and marinate and go for a walk, do jumping jacks, move your body, and let the answer just bubble up when it's ready. Thanks for
Okay.
asking.
And Juan?
Well, all I have to say is wow. And wow, wow, wow. I mean, this is great information. Thank you so much, Janine. And thank you, Amy and Nikki, for this great and I love how it just came out from a breakout room. We were all in a breakout room. We're just discussing, having this conversation. And all of a sudden I said, wait, why don't we create a seminar for this? And I'm glad I did, because it's really interesting. Amy, you're talking about repurposing information. I just started doing this recently because I had an interview on Fox News about 7 years ago, and I'm reusing that. And anybody new, and just here's my story. It's a 2-minute story of my life, and I'm reusing that as to get new business, because it immediately tells people who I am, and it kind of gives value too, because you're kind of like, Robin likes to say this word, posturing. You're kind of posturing a little bit, and it shows an example of your worth, your value, your immediately value. So people are more receptive to returning a phone call, setting up a scheduling a call, and I do that on LinkedIn. I just copy and paste, put it in there. It says, thank you for connecting. By the way, I would like to share this video of my life journey. And people are, oh, thank you for sharing, or thank you, wow. You get different all sorts of reactions. But the next follow-up question is, can we set up a meeting? Can we schedule a one-to-one? Can we set up a Zoom meeting? And that always works. So it's really a nice cycle that I've done that. And yeah, you don't ask, you don't get. One of the things that I was always scared of asking, don't be fear to ask for help, ask for business, it's particularly, if something has happened to you, you have to say something, and I tell this, I have no shame to my game. I tell people I lost, 4 of my major clients, and I'm out there looking for business. So I'm there. I'm a web designer. I've been web designing for 25 years now, and I'm looking for business, and it's going good, because the more you talk about it, the more it will happen. So thank you again for everybody. Thank you.
Okay, Robin, do you have a question? See, how else can we have fun with these cards if somebody doesn't do that?
And I apologize for that.
No. You made it fun for everybody. Thanks for bringing the fun, Robin.
Absolutely. So my question is for you. With the comment about not answering a question without monetizing it, and don't create something before you're being paid for it. Okay. Because I feel that is one of my drawbacks, and you and I have had conversations about this. How does one couch the subject if you haven't created it yet with a product to sell? How do you broach that subject and then create afterwards? Did I articulate that properly?
Yes. I'm asked this question a lot, actually. Okay. So thank you. The build it and they will come model does not work. And you've heard that. But then I still see entrepreneurs, too. Amy and I were talking about this. We still see entrepreneurs that are like, what are you doing? Well, I'm in the middle of building an online course. Oh, how many have you sold? And they go, well, I haven't marketed it yet. And we're like, why are you building it? This is the joke. I read this in a science fiction book in 1979. And in it, it said, the teacher only needs to be 1 chapter ahead of the student. I don't know why that stuck in my head, but that stuck in my head as a preteen, okay? And I went, oh my gosh, my professors are only 1 chapter ahead of me, And so when I started taking on that mentality, that's how it works. So how does it look? Let's give you some brass tacks. Somebody is talking away to you. They want something from you. You have a solution for them. And this happens to coaches all the time. They start coaching on a one-to-one, let's get to know each other call. They can't help it. It's kind of in your DNA, and they start coaching. As soon as you catch yourself doing that, say, but that's part of the rest of my program. And so, if you want to do that, then I'll need to ask you to invest in my program. Oh, I'm not really interested. That's not really where I want to go. Okay, I get that. When it becomes a priority, let me know. When do you want me to follow up with you? Oh, follow up with me in a month. Okay, fine. Or, well, how much is your program? Well, I'm going to this is how I actually say this to people, and Carol can back me up on this. I'm like, I'm going to cater the course to you. Why? Because she's the first one. So I'm like, how much you willing to pay? Well, can't afford $397 at this time, so I'm going to do $197. You hear, I can't afford a lot, right? We hear it all the time. And so I'm like, fair enough, $197. Well, that's going to basically give you about 45-minute lecture with maybe a couple of checklists. Okay, sounds good to me. All right, I go build it. Okay, so you decide how much effort and time you want to be in there, and your person is going to have a customized, catered course just to them, and you've got something evergreen you can sell to a bunch of other people that sign up for it. And my people have learned that when I send something out, that the first price I send it out, when I say early bird, $197, the price only goes up. I never discount my services. I don't give coupon codes. Just an idea. Okay, now I've talked enough. Nancy, you were next, I think. You had a question.
Yes. So thank you for having me this evening. This was an eye-opener for my business, being that I have a product-based businesses. I do gifting, businesses for gifting. And I also, within my product-based business, I offer programs and services that I market, my question is how to repurpose my programs in what ways for additional income? Could it be through blogging or webinars? I never thought of maybe webinars offering solutions to businesses' gifting needs. Is that a platform? Is that something that my business, I would be able to do? I'm just curious. Or should I just stick to, oh, I have a great gift basket for your grandma?
The first thing that pops into my mind, and I don't know, Nancy, of the specific kind of program you have, but using Eventbrite to create, you're doing a gifting event where you're going to show people how they can create their own gifting packages for their loved ones, and you choose what you want to charge for that one-time event. I don't know if that would work for what you have in mind. Janine, do you have any, or Amy?
Well, I was thinking for you, Nancy, how many different ideas do you have on what a gift basket can be used for?
A lot.
Okay.
Starting from the container to the products to the end once you open your gift.
Okay. So start off with a webinar that discusses the 91 ways you can give a gift basket, or you figure it out. That's your bailiwick. And then when people say, well, I really don't know if your business is appropriate for us or blah, 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 then you can say, well, I have a video that basically, or I have a course or online course or whatever you want to say of a product that, for $9.99, you can go through it and determine if this is a good fit for you or not. And then have checklists and whatever, but you build it out at $9.97 so that becomes the core list for your email list service that you use to determine who are your next clients, because they invested in you because of the information that they gave. And that's an MVP. It's a minimum viable product. Oh, if you're really interested, and that's how you kind of sort people out. So that's one way that I would repurpose and make money at the same time. Juan, go ahead. We have 6 minutes.
Real quick, collaborations. And this is an example collaboration here with Amy, yourself, and everybody. Is there things that you can do? Maybe Nancy, I don't know, is there collaborating? Do you think is that a, what would you put a collaboration under? Is that it's not an MVP, obviously, right?
Before you start collaborating, make sure you're making money.
Okay.
Don't start collaborating. It's a tremendous time suck. Amy, do you want to talk about that a bit?
Well, I think you've got to find people who have something that's in common with you, or something that can go with whatever you're doing. I mean, why do you collaborate? You collaborate because you're two different people or two different businesses that are bringing together something that creates something bigger, better, more interesting, or will answer a need. I mean, you have to decide where you're going with this. What's your purpose?
So a good example is, say, I sell gift baskets, since we have Nancy on there. What's the next thing a person is going to need? Potentially a card, or potentially what is a problem that I have? So an example is somebody comes in and they teach you how to spot treat your carpet or whatever. Well, what's the next thing? Well, okay, I cleaned up the spot treatment. Here is a carpet cleaning system that you can use on your own, blah, blah. That's the next problem. What's the next problem after that? Well, I don't know how to get wine out of the carpet. Wine's gotten out of the carpet. Do you see? There are problems that happen to your client, and you being proactive in that. Then you collaborate with those people that maybe have that product, service, or whatever. That's where collaborations are powerful. Okay. So like the podcaster, people want to monetize their podcast. I encourage them to get transcripts of every show they've ever done and create a book out of it, and then sell the book to their listenership. So those are some ideas that you can use on that. All right. So we have 4 minutes left. Does anybody else have any questions? I don't want to miss anyone. Okay. Since most of the folks have finished asking their questions, I'm going to give a minute to my panelists to kind of do some last minute things, and then we'll let Juan close this out. So if you don't mind, we'll go with Amy, and then Nikki, and then myself.
Okay, I think the important things are, think about from both parts of your brain, okay? You want to have the organized part and you want to have the emotional part. And both of those are important in running your business and making money and coming up with new ideas, innovations, whether it's a product or it's a service. And what I do often is I'll write down things I need to do as a to-do list before I go to sleep. But when I'm sleeping, that's when your subconscious is working. And a lot of answers to your problems will come up when you wake up in the morning. So get a good night's sleep, because your mind is working when you're sleeping.
Thank you, Amy. Never hurts to learn the basics again, right? It's all about the rice and beans, as they say down south, or it's all about the noodles, as my Japanese teachers tell me. Go ahead, Nikki.
Yes. Again, Amy, you just like the pitch. You just set me up. I did that before sleeping. I asked my subconscious mind, give me the answer to help solve this problem for these women. And I woke up and calm, C-A-L-M. I saw the letters. I knew what each letter meant. And it became so much out of that, a course, a book, just so much. So yeah, definitely ask yourself outcome-oriented questions, instead of yes or no questions, just what's one way I can blank. That's an example. And focus on those outcomes. You're going to get the quality of your answer is going to be in direct proportion to the quality question you ask yourself. And remember that there's always another option. Life is choice, and we can choose our focus.
Thank you, Nikki. One last thought I'd like to leave with you. In 2009, the Dalai Lama gave a talk, and he said, if you want to see change in the world, it must come from the Western woman. Let's start where we are. We're in a country that allows us to buy property. 80% of the world's women are unable to do this. We are in a country that allows us to choose whether or not we get married. 69% of the world's women do not have that option. We have the ability to divorce abusive people if we so choose to. Many of the world's women are not able to do that. If you're feeling a little weighed down by some of the stuff that's going on in your business, please realize that you are trailblazers. As entrepreneurial women, it is a unique opportunity that we have. And so if you feel a little beaten up at the end of the day, that is why we are leading the world on the empowerment of women. And I want to honor the men like Juan Vidas, who actually gives us space to gather and communicate and network in this way. And so Juan, if you would close this out, and thank you for this opportunity to share what we know.
Thank you for the kind words. And it's truly my pleasure to help out. I'm always here for helping. And if you know my story, real quick, I wasn't born in this country. I came here from El Salvador, escaping a war, and I've seen the evil, and I just wanted to help out people. And that's always been my goal. And it continues to be my goal, is to help out others. So I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for you guys. It's been a great event, special event. And I can't wait to have more of these events. These guys knocked it out of the park. Thank you so much. It's been great information, and I can't wait to to advertise this, and hopefully this will help you guys to get you more business. So I just want to say thank everybody that attended, and please don't forget to come to Winning on Wednesday. Sign up as a first-time guest if you want to attend it. We meet at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So please make sure you sign up also for the information on the website, also to our newsletter, so that you can get up to date with our any information that we send out. So actually I have to get ready for my newsletter, so I have to get going now. So, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming, and have a great day and have a blessed day. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.